Right. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for today's Dragon webinar, Improving Client Services While Reducing Costs with Speech Recognition. Just a few housekeeping items I want to go over before we get started. Today's session is being recorded, and a link to that recording will be provided to you typically within 24 to 48 hours at the end of the presentation. All attendees have been placed on mute. If you have a question at any time, you can submit it using either the chat or Q&A panels that you see within WebEx on the right-hand side of your screen. Feel free to submit them at any time during the presentation, but we are going to hold those questions until the end to actually answer them. We do have a number of slides and also a demonstration of Dragon that we want to take you through. My name is Amy Kretz. I am going to be your moderator and speaker today. I am also joined with me by Tom Vane, one of our sales engineers, who is going to walk you through the actual demonstration of Dragon. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and get started. So just a quick overview of what we hope you learn during today's presentation is that the use of emerging technology can really help law firms meet client demands for both efficiency but also accountability. And that technology can help law firms respond to the increasing demand that they are seeing from their clients. And that speech recognition is an effective way to help increase efficiency and also simplify some of the workflow processes that you may have. If we take a quick look at who is in our audience today, really runs the gamut when we're talking about a law firm, right? It can be anywhere from the managing partner to individual attorneys, on the support side, paralegals and assistants, to even consultants or even advisors for firms. We can also take a look at corporate legal departments, right, within Fortune 500 companies. And again, that's going to be anywhere from support staff to individual legal counsels as well. But our hope really is that you engage with us. We want to be able to talk with each of you individually. We want to be able to learn more about your individual firm's goals, but also some of the challenges that you're facing. Get a very good understanding of your unique workflow. So for instance, how are you currently handling the documentation process or even transcription? And then to take a discussion of how Dragon can help support your efforts. And then, of course, the more important thing is to talk about implementation, right? How do we best implement Dragon for you? We have a couple of options that would be available, including a proof of concept. So really what you guys are here to talk about today is what would happen if you were to quit typing and start talking with Dragon. So the information on this first slide may not come as a surprise to you. And in fact, most, if not all, are very familiar territory. That the time and cost involved in documenting both case and client information, creating contracts, briefs, really any other legal material can be staggering. And that traditional reliance on administrative support staff or outside transcription services can drag down any productivity that you're seeing. Now, let's take into consideration some of the trends that we've seen outlined in some recent reports. One coming from Georgetown University's, their Law Center for the Study of Legal Profession in combination with Thomson Reuters Peer Monitor. What they found was that over the past 3 years, demand for legal services has been somewhat flat to almost negative in certain areas. They noted that real estate and employment were the only practices where the demand grew in the past year, whereas corporate, tax, IP litigation, and litigation all fell, while bankruptcy experienced the sharpest decline. They also noted that on average, law firms are collecting only about 83.5 cents for every dollar of standard time they are recording. And that's significantly down from 92 cents back in 2007. What we should also point out is that both the 2013 and 2014 reports that peer monitor consistently indicated the increasing power of clients in defining the terms of the attorney-client relationship, and that they're starting to emphasize efficiency and cost-effectiveness in the delivery of legal services. And while they say that it's not true really in all cases, but more and more clients are making the decision to hire outside lawyers on the basis of how efficiently, cost-effectively, and predictively that they can deliver the services required. So as a result, firms are finding themselves in a procurement process where clients are asking very hard questions about schedules, staffing, work process efficiencies, and also cost. If you also consider some of the findings from an Altman-Wheel study back in 2013, where they asked firm leaders about their greatest challenges in the next 24 months. Obviously, they found that increasing revenue was the #1 answer, followed quickly by generating new business, overall law firm growth, and, of course, profitability. Those top 4 answers constituted just over 50% of all the responses that were given. Now, all 4 also are very internally focused and very tactical issues, all with the primary purpose of protecting the status quo within a law firm. What they found that was striking is that delivering value to clients appeared at only #8 on the list, mentioned by roughly 5.6% of the law firm leaders, while improving efficiency was 11th on the list of only 12 challenges, and that improving efficiency was only cited by 2.8% of the respondents. So with this presentation today, what we really hope is that improving efficiency really bumps up on that list of your priorities. So what's the solution here? Law firms and legal departments use speech recognition for many different purposes, but there are typically 3 primary tasks: to speed document turnaround, reduce transcription costs, and streamline repetitive workflows, all without having to change your current business processes or some of the existing information or other systems you have in place. The features that form the foundation of Dragon are speed, accuracy, and ease of use. Let me just talk quickly about each of those. First, it speeds document creation by letting you turn your voice into text with up to 99% accuracy using virtually any Windows-based application. And in fact, speech recognition can deliver results 3 times faster than most people can type. Second, it can improve your workflow because it eliminates any document development bottlenecks by streamlining both the editing and also the correction process. And this allows you to dramatically decrease any turnaround times and also look to reduce dependency on support staff. Finally, it increases efficiency and profitability by enabling firms and other legal departments, really any size, to focus on increasing their billings without increasing their support staff costs. All right, so if we dig into this a little bit more, let's talk a little bit about the speed I mentioned. So Dragon typically produces results that are 3 times faster than most people can type. And if you consider that the average person types, roughly about 40 words per minute, now obviously I'm sure for you, most of you in a law firm setting, this word per minute is probably much higher. But if you take into consideration that most of you speak at somewhere between 120 to 160 words per minute, this roughly translates into, the ability to create documents 3 times faster with Dragon than you ever could typing by hand. So again, even if you're a fast typist, Dragon speeds up your document creation process because it allows you to have a hands-free input, right? So now you can be reviewing files, you can be looking at reference materials, or even creating documents while you're away from your desk. And we'll talk a little bit about that later on. One of the important takeaways on this slide is that Dragon works with most Windows-based applications, but it's not exclusively for word processing. With Dragon, you simply obviously talk to your computer and words appear in the full Microsoft Office suite, but we also have the ability to work within Microsoft Internet Explorer, WordPerfect, and virtually all other Windows-based applications, including some of the widely installed case and practice management systems. If we take email as an example of this, we found that some of our customers have suggested that they write somewhere between 20 to 30 emails per day. Some are, short and very informal, but many are certainly well thought out responses to some significant questions. Email can easily consume 1/3 of your day, if not more. So if you're spending about 2 hours a day at minimum creating emails, you can cut that time to less than an hour. That could equate to at least 250 hours a year that could be used to increase billable time, valued at more than $35,000. So let's talk about specifically what Dragon can do for you. So legal professionals can use Dragon speech recognition software to get more done in less time. Now, obviously, in each organization and even the individuals within those organizations can use speech for different purposes based on their responsibilities, the workflow that you have in place, preferences, and, of course, the applications that you're using. And we find that speech is used by, really running the gamut between partners and associates to corporate counsels, as I mentioned earlier, but we're also finding it on the other side with judges, with researchers, court reporters, even students, transcribers, assistants, as well as, other support staff, and also with mobile professionals and certainly people with disabilities. And again, they're using the software to create documents, right? Such as contracts, briefs, motions, notices, pleadings, I could go on, to really manage and summarize their email, to streamline that third-party transcription, whether you have a transcription process that's currently in-house or you're outsourcing that. You can also use it to automate repetitive or multi-step tasks by using simple voice commands. Simple things like save, print, send document, or insert signature. And we find that that adds some increased efficiencies as well. All right, so I talked a little bit about, the transcription process. And we certainly know that a lot of lawyers today are personally responsible for their own document creation. And even firms with corporate departments having, limited staff or requiring their attorneys to create their own accurate documents under, pretty tight deadlines. So even when an in-house transcription process is in place, it could be cumbersome, time-consuming, and since many attorneys are already working late into the night, sometimes long after their support staff has already gone home, they really have no choice but to do, any of the typing themselves. And then third-party transcription certainly comes with its own set of, drawbacks. Whether audio is being sent to an outside transcription service, or you're using an in-house transcriber, a secretary or another assistant. The outside transcription can certainly be expensive. It can be time-consuming. It can even slow down your proceedings, which certainly impacts client satisfaction and also cuts into any profits. An in-house transcription, while certainly more cost-efficient, can still involve, a lengthy back-and-forth review cycle. And in fact, we had one General Deputy Counsel of a State Attorney General Office comment to us that our transcription services are necessary, but I would love a better way. What we find is that Dragon is really a fit for either scenario. And we know that, most people assume that Dragon can be used for direct input. And it is true that Dragon obviously enables individuals to create their documents, themselves to reduce this dependency. But Dragon actually gives both the lawyer and their administrative staff more control over how those documents are created and also finalized. what we should talk about, too, is that Dragon is more than just dictation. And in fact, text entry is really just the tip of the iceberg when we're talking about speech recognition capabilities. We find that additional productivity benefits can come from leveraging Dragon for what we call command and control of your PC to automate multi-step tasks. So voice commands let you control and command most basic applications, and again, including some of those legal programs that we mentioned, the internet, private intranets. It can allow you to navigate screens and menus, all by using your voice. So for example, you can say things like open Microsoft Word or create document. And the Dragon voice shortcuts are really those preset commands that make it faster and easier for you to perform specific tasks, such as searching the web or sending an email, scheduling a meeting. So you can say things, for example, like, send email to XYZ Corporation, or find email on the Robinson Appeal. One step further, we have something that's called boilerplate commands. Now, these types of commands allow you to create blocks of text, which can also include either graphics or not, and allows you to insert them into documents or emails. So again, things like insert signature or insert company logo. One step beyond that, we have what's called macro commands. These speed up repetitive tasks such as data entry or case management by using speech to automate tasks and control applications. So in this example, you can create macros that allow you to automatically enter specific data or create maybe a custom form or even navigate fields. Macros are really meant to perform a sequence of either keystrokes or mouse movements to automatically execute routine tasks that, may be eating up some of your very limited time. Now, Dragon can also be used for, citations, which are automatically formatted, to create and edit spreadsheets or to control accounting and time billing software, again, all using those very straightforward voice commands. I also wanted to take a minute to specifically address Dragon as a mobility solution. So I touched upon this just a little bit earlier in the slides. But most of you are likely spending a significant amount of time traveling from location to location for client visits, maybe depositions, court hearings, what have you. And since most of you are already working long hours, you need to use your time productively, no matter where that job is going to take you. So in this way, Dragon enables legal professionals to increase their productivity during this travel time, or really any time that you're away from your office, by dictating into a digital voice recorder or any other handheld device for automatic transcription when you return to your PC. Take it one step further, an enterprise deployment of Dragon also allows you the ability to export your user profile either via network or simply putting it on a portable storage device for use on another computer or laptop. In this way, allows you to take advantage of Dragon pretty much anytime, anywhere. Having this mobile option ensures that any time you're spending on the road or really off-site doesn't mean, you're spending more time, late at night trying to catch up on work. You can use in-vehicle or this, what might have been formerly unproductive time to dictate notes, reports, very safely and accurately. As a result, you have the ability to turn around documents rather quickly for improved client service, or, again, increasing that focus on billable work. Okay, so that's probably enough of me talking. At this point, what you really want to see is Dragon in action. So I am going to turn things over to Tom Vane, who is going to take you through our all-important demonstration. So with that, Tom, you can take it away.
Thanks, Amy. So I just started to share out my screen, which you should hopefully see. Now, you can't see me, but I am sitting at my desk and will be dictating documents, controlling my computer just by using my voice without using my mouse or keyboard. However, I can still use my mouse and keyboard if I wanted to alongside of Dragon. Now, another thing I wanted to point out here is that, in fact, one of the new features of Dragon 13 is that I can use an external microphone, which I am using right now, or I can even choose to use the built-in microphone on my laptop to do the dictation. I no longer actually need a headset. As you had mentioned earlier, there are 3 major benefits of using speech recognition that will help you serve your clients better and help you get more done in less time than before. You can talk faster than you can type. In fact, many people talk up to 3 times faster than typing. You can create documents without using a mouse or keyboard. You can be looking at reference materials or other documents while you're dictating. As you can see here, I have various documents, or you can't see it personally here, but I do have various documents spread all over my desk that I can refer to as I create these documents. So now I can create high-quality documents faster with fewer interruptions and distractions. And also, I can use Dragon with virtually any application, as you mentioned before, including Microsoft Office and popular email applications. I'll be using Outlook in my demonstration here, but I can cut my document creation time by as much as a third, better servicing my clients and creating more value for the firm. For this demonstration, I'm going to show you how you can easily create, easily dictate a deposition letter. You'll notice that the Dragon bar at the top of my screen here, I'll go ahead and minimize. You'll notice this Dragon bar at the top of my screen here, which is Dragon's heads-up display. Basically, this is where you can control Dragon, such as turning off the microphone or turning it on, or accessing various features. The Dragon bar automatically minimizes when I'm not using it, so it's never in my way. As you can see, it minimizes and shrinks. Now, I'm going to start off, as I mentioned before, dictating a deposition letter straight into Microsoft Word. Open Microsoft Word. Header, Stephen Jones, January 6, 2015, new paragraph. Anderson, Dear Stephen, new paragraph. Please prepare for the Anderson deposition by reviewing some Commerce Clause cases, particularly 289 Northwest 2nd, 416 Minnesota 1979, as well as preemption cases such as 764 Federal 2nd, 463 3rd Circuit 1999, period, new paragraph. Within that preemption context, consider home rule powers plus related policy issues, period. Also remember that when a federal statute does not directly overcome state law, a federal administrative agency may do so by regulation, reference 257 Northeast 2nd, 97, 1993, period, new paragraph. You may want to argue that the defendant municipality has exceeded its powers in an area of statewide concern, citing 137 Atlantic 2nd, 1030, 1977, period. Signature. And before you know it, I have my complete document ready to go, ready to ship off to either my client or to my secretary to proofread or to whomever. Right? I have something final and ready to go. Now, the other side that Amy mentioned here is not only the ability to work within your direct applications, such as Word, to create documents, but another side of this is emailing. We spend a lot of our time through the day emailing either with clients or updating your paralegals or your secretaries or whomever on whatever depositions or cases you're working on. So as a follow-up to this email, I can even let my boss know that I'm currently working on this. For example, I can say, send email to Paul Tucker. Anderson deposition. Cap that. Move to body. Hello, Paul, new paragraph. I'm currently working on the Anderson deposition, period. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, period. New paragraph. Correct, reject. Reach out. Go back. Send message. Minimize window. And as you can see, I can even take this a step further by controlling my applications that are on my screen, minimizing windows, closing applications, sending emails, all by using my voice. The other side of this, as Amy mentioned, is what happens in a scenario when you don't have access to your computer? How do you make sure that that time is still useful to you? that you can still create documents without being right in front of your screen. Well, I've actually taken the liberty of creating an audio file through my smartphone, and I emailed it to myself. In my case, I'm going to be doing the transcription from an audio file, where Dragon's going to listen to me dictating into my smartphone and actually transcribe the results. However, we could just as easily send this to a secretary or assistant or whomever to actually transcribe this for us using Dragon Naturally Speaking without the necessity of listening back to it and manually typing it out. So in Dragon's options, as I mentioned, the Dragon bar at the top of my screen here, I can choose to transcribe a recording. Now, I'm going to transcribe a recording into Microsoft Word, so I can just as easily issue a command to select all, delete that. In the meantime, it's going to ask me to browse to locate my file. Again, I just emailed myself this file and saved it to my desktop. And it's about a client of mine, Sally Smith. I'm going to go ahead and open it. Before I do so, I do want to explain that we do support different audio files such as WAV, MP3, WMA, DSS, or DS2, which most common recorders are going to be able to create an audio file within that type of extension. In this case, I'm using an MP3 file. Now I can choose to transcribe. At this point, Dragon is going to start transcribing once I click into another application. Essentially, Dragon is going to put the text wherever you put the cursor. So in this case, Dragon is asking me, where should the text go? So once I click into the application, it's going to begin transcribing, and it's going to ask that I refrain from using my keyboard and mouse during the transcription as it's trying to type wherever the cursor is. If I move that cursor, it may put the text somewhere else. So at this point, it's transcribing at typically a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning every minute of audio takes about a minute to transcribe. Typically, with faster machines that we're seeing these days, we're seeing that ratio change from every minute of audio takes about a minute, 30 to 45 seconds to transcribe. So we're seeing that ratio change in a good way. So before you know it, I have most of my dictation completed and set up and ready to go, so I can edit it, proofread it, and even listen back to it with Dragon Naturally Speaking. I can highlight words and say play that back, and it'll either play back using my voice or the computer's voice. But essentially, we can use Dragon to add information to this, edit information, and remove information, all by using our voice. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to you, Amy.
Great, thanks, Tom. I'm going to actually have you stay on here for just a second. There were two questions that came in during your demo that I'm hoping you can help me address. The first one is when you were creating the citation, there's a question about how do you create the header that you had in the document.
Perfect. So that's actually something that you mentioned earlier, one of the boilerplate commands. They're also referred to as text and graphic commands, where if I already have an existing boilerplate text that I want to use, whether it's text or a header or a picture, any kind of text or graphic, I can do one of two things. I can either highlight that text and tell Dragon to make that a command. It's going to grab that text, bring up my command editor, and ask me to give it a command name. The command name is basically what I want to say. In this case, I called it header. So basically, when Dragon hears header, it's going to type whatever is in my content field. In this case, it was the text that I had previously highlighted. So in this case, the other side of this is I could just as easily copy this text. And of course, I'm using my mouse and keyboard for this, but I could just as easily do this by voice. I could say select last paragraph, copy that, and I could always go to my tools menu, add a new command, and you'll see that same command editor pop up on my screen where I can give it the command name, basically what I want to say to initialize that command before Dragon to write out whatever I have written in the content field here.
Perfect. And then there was one follow-up to that as well. The question was how much of that letter was created, by the user, or how much of it was already handled by Dragon, specifically the macros. So when you said things like Federal Second 463, et cetera, how much of that was you dictating versus any macros that you had pre-created?
So the nice thing about the speed of Dragon is I can actually slow down that demonstration for you a little bit. So if I select all, delete that, I started off with mainly just macros, right? The text and graphic commands where I said header, Stephen Jones, Right? Header, Stephen Jones, that's automatic in there. That's something that I created, so I automatically insert that in there. That's not built in, but that is a feature that you can create your own command, as I just showed you. Now, when I start dictating the date and the Anderson, describing the Anderson deposition, I start getting into Dear new paragraph, Dear Stephen new paragraph. That's actually all done by my voice. I didn't have to do anything special for that. Same thing with the references in there and the citations. Like, for example, 289 Northwest 2nd, 416, Minnesota 1979, that's all built in. Dragon has those references and citations built in due to how exactly you saying them out loud. I didn't have to do anything special about creating a specific command for that. I didn't have to say 764 Federal 2ND 463, 3RD, right? I didn't have to break it down that way. I simply say it how you would normally relay that information to someone else by voice. And Dragon automatically figures it out and enters it. And then last but not least, you may recall from my demonstration, I did follow it up with a command to insert my signature just by saying signature. And then that was actually something that I created. So the whole center part, the actual letter, the letter body portion of this was created just by dictation.
Great, thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
No problem.
All right. So at this point, I am going to take Mac, the presenter status. So hopefully that brief demo gave you a little bit of insight into the power of Dragon. Obviously, there is much more that can be done with Dragon, but we just wanted to give you just a quick glimpse into some of the dictation and command functionality that is available to you. Obviously, if we have an individual conversation with you, that's when we can talk a little bit more specifically about your unique workflows and, really start to delve into how Dragon might fit into some of your specific scenarios. All right, before we get to questions, I just wanted to quickly wrap up and talk about, really results that speak for themselves and how Dragon can really deliver, significant ROI. And what we find is that our experience shows the justification here is really simple, right? Especially given that the legal industry can spend upwards of $1 billion on dictation and transcription. And in most cases, enterprises that purchase advanced speech recognition tools like Dragon really realize improved productivity and ROI almost, immediately. And part of it has to do with, the ease of use, the time savings, the high recognition accuracy, as you saw, that really the ability to streamline any of the workflows, and then that added piece of automating tasks with any voice commands. All right, so as I mentioned, really what we want to be able to do at the end of today's presentation is talk more individually with you one-on-one. We really do want to understand some of the goals and challenges that you're facing, get a handle on how you're, completing documentation and or the transcription process today, and then really discuss how Dragon can help support some of your efforts. And then that really goes a long way into any of the implementation options that might be available to you. Okay, on the right-hand side of your screen, just a couple of names that I wanted to throw out. So if you do want to reach out to our sales reps individually, Jeff Romano handles our west, Joseph Fimiani handles our east, and they're really split right down the middle of the Mississippi River. So really anything, east of kind of the Chicago line or Illinois line is handled by Joe, and everything else to the west is handled by Jeff. Okay, so that at this point is going to wrap up the formal portion of the presentation. I want to be able to get to some of your questions with the time we have left. So I know we answered a few of them during the demonstration. I'm just going to scroll through here, and I am going to ask Tom to help me where possible. Excuse me. Okay, there is a question here about, can there be more than one profile to allow more than one voice recognition? So Dragon is licensed per user, or what we call per voice. So we do really require that, you as an individual can certainly create as many profiles as you want, and that's going to be based on the memory that's available on your computer. But if you have more than one individual within the firm that is looking to use Dragon, you are going to need an individual license and an individual profile for each of those people. Okay, so there's another question here about, so are we saying that Dragon knows how to format citations and other legal terms automatically? So, Tom, you can help me out here with this one, but, you know, yes, the way that we built Dragon, the legal edition of our product, it is built to support citations and has most legal terms automatically as part of the vocabulary. Did I say that correctly?
You are correct. So there's an extra 30,000 words added to our vocabulary in the legal edition, and alongside of those extra 30,000 legal terminology entries, we did incorporate the feature of automatically formatting those citations and legal formattings. You may have noticed from my demonstration when I said 764 Federal 2nd, 463 3rd Circuit, 1999, it put in the parenthesis and all the correct formatting for me. I didn't have to go through and manually put anything in. So that's a built-in feature of Dragon.
Perfect. Thanks, Tom. Okay, so here's a question about how long have you had the Dragon software to perfect your translation? You know, obviously a number of us here internally at Nuance, you know, have been using Dragon for a number of years. But what we should say is with version 13 that we just released back in the early fall, you actually no longer have to go through a lengthy user profile setup. We used to have you read several paragraphs of text so that we could get a baseline for your voice, right? And that just allowed Dragon to be very accurate when you did actually start your normal dictation. You know, over the years, based on, you know, user data that we have collected, we no longer require you to read those paragraphs of text. All you're going to do is now the process takes probably somewhere between 1 and 2 minutes, possibly. You're going to just go through a simple microphone check to ensure that your microphone is working accurately with Dragon. But after that, you're up and running, and you really are going to have that 99% recognition accuracy right out of the gate. So, you know, there's really nothing else that you need to do to perfect your translation or your dictation, I should say. There are some things that you can certainly do to enhance it. You know, so if there are words that are missing from, you know, Dragon's robust vocabulary, you can do a number of things where you can have Dragon search your current documents. It'll pull back a list of vocabulary terms that are missing from Dragon, and you can automatically have those added. In an enterprise, you know, situation, for every user, you can have a master vocabulary list that can be uploaded once, and then every user has access to those additional terms, right? So things for like proper names and street addresses and things of that nature, right? Those are things that are not going to be standard in Dragon's vocabulary. So you are going to want to add things like that. So hopefully that helped address that question. Okay, so I do see a question about cost actually from a few folks. So I will mention that the legal edition of Dragon for a single boxed copy of it runs $7.99, and that's our suggested retail price of that product. Obviously, for those of you that are in a firm and looking to use it across multiple users, we do have licensing, volume licensing available to you. That licensing structure starts at 3 users if you purchase maintenance and support, 4 users if you do not purchase maintenance and support. And really, to be honest, this is where our 2 sales reps are going to come into play, because they'll really be able to talk to you about you know, the cost structure for each of you users, how many users, right? Obviously, there's volume discounts the higher that you purchase. And they can talk you through all of that. So I really do highly suggest that you speak with each of them individually to get you know, a sense of what it would do for your firm. Okay, we've got a few minutes here, so a couple of other questions. Tom, I may ask your support. I know you've come across probably some of the more specific, time or billing applications. There's a question here about some called, can it enter time in specific time and billing programs? RIPE, I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. RIPE in Kingston or Juris or Tabs. Have you ever heard of any of those?
I've heard Juris. I'm new to Ripper in Kingston, RIP in Kingston and Tabs. However, the way I like to explain Dragon is kind of think of it as a second keyboard that you're using with your voice. I mentioned before, Dragon is going to put the text wherever you have the cursor. So as long as you can put the cursor and type in your keyboard and the text will go in there, you can use your voice as your keyboard at that point. So a lot of I get that question a lot. Will it work in this application? Will it work in that application? It really just boils down to, can you put text in that field with your keyboard? Dragon's going to be able to send text into that field by voice. I know for a fact, and that's another file out there here, it doesn't work in WordPerfect. It does for a fact have direct integration and work with WordPerfect. I know that for a fact.
Excellent, great, Tom. Okay, there was a question here. So how did you learn commands? So the one thing that we didn't point out during the demonstration is that there is a learning center that when you first install and pop up Dragon, your user profile, this learning center, what we used to call the Dragon sidebar, automatically comes up on the right-hand side of your screen. In that screen, it's going to provide you a couple of things. One is going to be a list of global commands that you can use across applications. But then more specifically, as you click into a Microsoft Word or maybe into your email or maybe into Internet Explorer, that list of commands is going to change based on the application that you're in. So if you're in Microsoft Word, it's going to show you commands that are available to you for use in that application, and vice versa. If you go into Outlook, it's going to show you the types of commands that are available to you with use with your email. Same with Internet Explorer, et cetera. We also do have a command cheat sheet that is available on our website, and I can certainly include that in any follow-up material for folks. So that'll give you an idea of what some of the simple commands are. All right, I know we are running out of time. I'm just going to go through. So for those questions that I did not get to, please know that I have a full transcript of all of the questions, and I will ensure that during follow-up someone is able to address that question with you. Tom, can you help me just address this one last question? I know we did address the Canadian language model for version 13, but there is a question, are Canadian legal citations included?
There is not a Canadian legal specific dictionary as of yet, but it might be a possibility in the future.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we definitely addressed that question. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, with that, I do see that we are at the end of our time for today's presentation. Again, as I mentioned, for the questions that we did not get to, I do have a full transcript. We will make certain that somebody gets back to you as quickly as possible. Today's presentation was recorded, so if you missed any portion of it or wish to share it with a colleague, you will be able to do so. That link will be sent to you via email, typically within 24 to 48 hours after the end of today's presentation. I want to thank everyone for taking some valuable time out of their day today to spend with us to learn more about Dragon and what it can do for your firm. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope this gave you some insight, and we do look forward to following up with each of you. Thank you for your time. This is going to end our presentation.